Good morning and welcome to the first webinar of the year with Ascarii, and we welcome you to have a look at SAP Business One as a business solution for a variety of industries. That works really well because it's highly configurable without bespoking, and you can tailor it to the industry you're in. It's now in use in approaching 80,000 different businesses around the world, of which the vast majority of them are small SMEs, SMBs, but there's also a growing number of subsidiaries that actually use SAP Business One when their bigger part of the group use larger SAP solutions. So because we can get them to talk to each other, it's a very cost-effective way of getting up to speed much more quickly than the bigger solutions. I'm sure we've all heard some of these projects take quite a considerable amount of time and expense. SAP Business One is completely the polar opposite. So we've got people who've got in excess of 100 users as customers using SAP Business One, but we also have 2 or 3 users in customers. So it's really quite diverse, and it's also highly scalable. So you'll find that the largest customer over in China of SAP Business One is approaching 1,000 users. So it can be very different in the way it's used and utilized by all of these customers. But let me share my screen, and then I'll take you through a brief presentation of who we are and what we do, but then we'll go straight into software and have a look at what the power of the solution is itself. So I'm Alan Hughes. I'm the Solutions Director here at Ascarii. I run the commercial aspects of the business, and we actually have 2 sides of the business. So we have Ascarii, as many people know us. We've been established for nearly 10 years now as a business, but trading as an SAP Business One Gold Partner since 2013. And so from our perspective, we've always been a cloud-first thinking organization, and that's recognized by SAP and all the partners we work with on the cloud partner side, because our strength really is our technical capabilities. And the way we work is that because we're all techies at heart, I'm probably one of the least technical people in the business, and I've been working in ERP for nigh on 20 years now. But the backbone of the business is technical, including our CEO, Stuart Wilson. He is actually an ex-IT director at a large corporate, and he's been utilizing larger SAP solutions for many years. And after a period of time, just decided he wanted to actually start his own business, which is the birth of Ascarii. But as I say, from 2013, we were officially cloud-first thinking, and we were the first partner in the world to actually sell SAP licenses on the cloud recurring model that everyone is now talking more and more about. The cloud for partner side of our business is that because we've actually built a purpose-built cloud platform on Amazon Web Services, AWS, for SAP Business One, and because we're experts at cloud and the way that works, most of the 800 plus partners around the world are not, because traditionally SAP Business One was delivered on premise. So moving to the cloud is something a number of partners don't know that much about. So we offer our cloud platform to other partners around the world, and they are happily using it because they use our expertise without having to actually learn and incur the cost of training people to become those experts in-house. So that's who we are. So as I say, this is only a very short PowerPoint, but the reason for moving to cloud is so readily available. When you study the internet and talk to various journals, people are demanding it. SaaS revenues are due to increase rapidly. So it's very much a case of, this isn't us saying this is the way the world is going, and I'd say about 98% of everything we do at Ascarii is all cloud recurring on that pricing model, as opposed to buying software the traditional way that most of the vendors would supply it at. So it does offer very predictable and flexible billing. So because there's no upfront costs on software, and you can either choose to pay us either monthly or quarterly, we don't generally do annually unless there's a specific case for it. It does allow you to budget effectively. That is very powerful. What we can also do is actually look at consumption based on what scalable needs you have. So if in this example on the left hand side, and I'll talk about databases a little later in the demonstration, but SAP have their own database called HANA, which is an in-memory database. and that allows you to either run it on premise or in the cloud. Now, because we do the cloud, if we look on the left-hand side here in the first example, if you were buying servers to last you for the next 3 years, and let's face it, a lot of businesses actually buy servers and run them for a lot longer than 3 years, you have to buy a server that can either be upgraded or has the length of time you intend to use it, with all of that space not being used in the initial year. Whereas in the cloud way is for it to grow as you grow, to reduce as you reduce as a business. Different businesses do different things at different times. But during COVID, we weren't affected at all at Ascarii, whereas other businesses were, and we were able to help them by reducing their costs on their cloud implementation as their user count reduced. So that's the sort of scalable thing we can do with our cloud platform. And what we can also offer is a very compelling total cost of ownership. So on premise, it does seem cheaper to be able to go out and spend X thousands of pounds on hardware against a monthly cost, which soon gets to above that level. You're thinking, well, why is that? Well, it's because we're doing all the backups, the data recovery, the disaster recovery, the upgrades. All of those things are taken care of by AWS and by Ascarii. You don't have to worry about the infrastructure. You don't have to worry about the backups. You don't have to worry about making sure your data is secure. That's a real hidden benefit to what cloud provides for you guys. And let's face it, changing your servers every 3 years. And we do know of one customer who came to Ascarii and from another partner who previously had bought their software. They have recently spent £60,000 on new servers, whereas the cloud, it just takes away the need for you to plan for that. It's just a budgeted cost, and you know where you stand. It's very flexible, it's very scalable, we can grow, we can add resources, we can amend it, and this is really important. We do ongoing monitoring and support of the system. So you're not left alone. We do it all for you in conjunction with you. And the great thing about AWS being the leading cloud platform as it is in the world, it is the biggest by some way. They're very, very hot on their security. They hold tier 4 top security levels in all their data centers. And currently we are operating out of data centers in Dublin. We've got 2 sites in the States. We're just about to open Canada, and Frankfurt is next. So it has a security perspective, it's very good. And coupled with the compliance that AWS brings to the platform, it gets you into countries where you may have problems otherwise on lesser cloud solutions. So, for example, the China firewall and so on. So I'm going to end the show, and then we'll have a look at SAP Business One itself. So what I have here is I'm logged into a demonstration system of SAP Business One, and this is just an example of what the screen can look like. So I'm currently demonstrating the system on SAP's HANA database, which is the in-memory database I mentioned before, but it's also available on Microsoft SQL. Outside of the States, the vast majority of sales now are on HANA. The States are still clinging on to SQL simply because they're so used to Microsoft. Either way, it's the same system, it does the same things. It's just HANA has some hidden benefits that will be potentially of benefit to you. So, for example, you get all of these nice widgets and dashboards as standard with HANA, not in SQL. You can do other things around dashboards in the SQL version using a great partner that works closely with the SAP Business One solution from Boyum. They're one of our preferred, and in fact, we don't sell SAP Business One without those Boyum modules, and I'll take you through why in a little while. But fundamentally, it gives you the ability to configure the solution to what you need it to be without bespoking, and to also automate the way the documents are sent from the system, bypassing the email system and just getting them sent out directly from the system itself. So it really is a real strength. What we also have on here, so these sort of counters, libraries of things we look at, counters where you've got green and showing good, red, bad, green and up and down arrows, and also these sort of charts, and these processes are all configurable to each user or department. So if I go into the pencil here and I click plus, these are all called widgets. And there's around 50 of them that come standard with SAP Business One. But at Ascarii, we can also teach you how to create your own. So you can actually do lovely charts like this. And we do have customers who create these sort of charts and actually put them on screens throughout their business. So different departments can see how they're performing. But as you can see, there's lots we can switch on. And what we can also do is down here, you've got a sales process, a purchasing process, a stock management process, and a financial process. These are great because these are ways of using the system from your main screen without having to go into the menu system and try and find things. We find people who take on board SAP Business One utilize that extensively, especially at the start of using the system, so they don't have to go and find things. It's very, very easy to do. So I'll demonstrate that today. So I'll go back and I will update my cockpit so it's the same. What we can also do, though, as you can see, you also have a file here. If I open the file, we're currently looking at a sales process and sales view. But if I went into a finance view and click OK, you'll see that instantly it redraws the widgets from a financial aspect. So this is what your financial team would be looking at, or your financial controller, and so on. And you can choose now that instead of actually raise a quote, raise an order, convert to a delivery, and so on, and raise an invoice on the sales process, now we can deal with all the things that finance deal with: payments, vouchers, journals, reconciliations, period ends, the financial reports themselves, and anything with a drop-down blue button can actually then show you more things that we can actually, so we can go straight into a TB, into a balance sheet, into a P&L. If you run more than one entity, this is a multi-company solution out of the box, multi-currency out of the box, and also multi-language. There's 28 languages built into SAP Business One as standard, and you will find that it is why it's so successful and why there's nearly 80,000 businesses around the world using this solution to run their businesses. But touching on what I said before with the multi-company, I'm currently logged on to a demonstration company called OEC Computers, but I can click on here and log into another company without having to buy more licenses. You can have as many companies on here as you wish, but if you want to start then doing intercompany trading and automation and then consolidation and just basically consolidating all of those into a higher level for reporting at group level, we have solutions that can do that too. So it really is quite diverse in what it can do, and that's why I said before it's a business-wide solution as opposed to a specific point solution for a manufacturer or a distributor or a finance company or a field service management company. It does cater for all of them. So that's what it could look like in finance. If I go back to the sales view I was on before, you'll notice that there is also one for purchase and one for stock control. So if I went very quickly into stock control, these are public, as in released to the team, so they can choose to use them. So straight away you can look at stock values, outbound stock, your stock turnovers, you can look at returns, your different warehouses. It understands the concept of multiple warehouses. And what you can also do is you can do all of this, and I'll show you two a little later when we go through. So it's the way the screen is designed for each user is the way you drive the use of the system, and it's a great way of making sure that people are getting what they need from it. So without further ado, the other things on the HANA side of things that are of interest to most of your peers are things like cash flow forecasting. So because it's in memory and it's not having to spool hard drives and go and search for data all the time, you can set your date criteria. Now, granted, this is only demonstration data, so it won't have a lot to show here, but you can set what date range you're looking at. You can set up the configuration of what you're going to measure, what criteria you're setting against it, and you can even set what your certainty levels are. So here we can actually say that for cash, incoming and outgoing payments and cash accounts are king, so they're always going to be certainty level 1. But what we can also do is actually set what we think the others and what certainty level there are, which will reflect in your forecast on screen. SAP have been quite sensible about this, though. They do realize you're never going to take the Excel out of a finance department. So once you've calculated this, you can still export it to Excel and play and model as much as you wish in that finance department. That's an example of what you can do in cash flow forecasting. There are things in here, things like something called Pervasive Analytics. So this is a way of designing your own dashboards, your own widgets, your own KPIs, including advanced dashboards. And I'm going to show you one in action in a little while called Customer 360, which gives us a really good general view of everything that's happening within that customer. So I'll show you that later. But this is one of the key things we do at Ascarii, is we train you on how to use this yourself and how to work this yourself, so you don't have to come to us all the time and ask us to do it for you. That's one of the nice things, is being self-sufficient. So as well as that, there is things like executive search. So in here, imagine this is like a Google search of your data. My example here is I've typed in Bill. Bill is someone who used to work for us but no longer does. So Bill, when he left us, had dealt with a number of transactions, and it's, as you can see here, it's found he's in the master data 3 times. So he's probably the account manager of a certain customer. So just so you're aware, a business partner in SAP terms can either be a customer, a supplier, or a lead that can be converted to a customer. So it does have CRM built in here too. He's also in the chart of accounts, no doubt under salaries, and he's in the employee master data as you'd expect him to be. But he's also been involved in nearly 500 transactions. But in the return that we mentioned, if I click on the return that he was involved with and move the mouse above it, you can see what items and what quantities and what values were returned. So if that customer called after that person had left the business, you know exactly what they're talking about, and you can see the record on screen very, very easily. This is utilized a lot by your peers and is loved. It's something I no doubt you would use as well. The menu across the top is context sensitive, so it lights up as and when you can use it. The hamburger, as I call it here, when you click on it, it opens up the full menu. And as you can see, there's a lot to SAP Business One. You can switch on and off what people can and can't see and can and can't do within the system with ease. So because I'm logged on as an administrator, I can set up my different companies, the web client, which I'll show you in a little while, because you can access this information via the web now, or a lot of it. You can set up your exchange rates, your utilities, your approval processes, your license, your alerts management, and your workflow. So typically when someone logs into SAP Business One, they do not see administration. Only the right people with administration rights would see that. And in fact, all of these here, whether it be financial, CRM, stock control, banking, all the way down to project management, you can actually say for each of user or groups of users what they can and can't see. So if I just switch off a number of these very quickly and update, you can see that it's suddenly truncated what I can see on my menu. So none of this rolling around and trying to find your own tail. You find what you need quickly because you tailor the screen to fit what that person's job role is and what they need to see. As we're in an overview demonstration, I'll switch it all back on for now, but that's what you can do. What you can also do with regards to the system itself is, well, if I show you a business partner master data record. So if I show you a customer, for example, so here we have Maxitech. Straight away, if I make this big, you can see that they're a customer. They have their name in there. They've got a foreign name if relevant, what group you've put them in, and you can set up as many of these groups or as little of these groups as you wish. What currency? I've got the American system set up currently, but that would normally say VAT for the UK. Across here, we've got account balance, deliveries, orders, opportunities. And every time you see a golden arrow in SAP Business One, it's drillable. So if I click on the account balance, it goes directly into the ledgers and brings up their account balance. If I look at their orders, it brings up what orders are outstanding and opportunities and so on. And when you're in things that have more drillable things, so that opportunity number 1, if I click on that, it then goes into the opportunity. We can then look at what stages they're at, what partners we're working with, who are our competitors, what are the threat levels. This is where the CRM engine comes into play. So it's a case of everything is drillable, and you can go round and round and come back to yourself quite often within this system. It's one version of the truth. It's one database, and that's the beauty of the solution. But on here as well, we've got things like contact people. You can have multiple contact people involved. We've got the addresses. So again, you've got various bill and ship to addresses that you can have against a particular customer or supplier. You've got your payment terms. You've got your payment run, what bank account it links to, and so on. You've got your which ledgers in your nominal ledger or general ledger that you're linking with. Properties is really that is what you want it to be. So there are, as you can see, up to 64 of them here, where you can actually set what these are and then start ticking it against it, various things against each customer, and you've got a searchable item where you can search for people with certain criteria for maybe a marketing run or a letter that you want to send out with people with certain criteria. And remarks and attachments are standard throughout the system. So it's a mini WordPad and an attachment place where it stores all relevant files relevant to this customer. So that could be some important documentation, it could be an instruction manual, it could be absolutely anything, but it stores it all centrally for you against the customer record. So that's great when you're looking at a customer record, but what you can also do is you can see down here we have a button called You Can Also. So this is a way of speeding up how you use the system. So when we go in here, you can see that we can view service calls, we can view a lot of things, but we can also create them. So if I wanted to create a sales quotation, it automatically, because we've come out of Maxitech, it knows we're talking about Maxitech. So in here, I've got some printing. This is the demonstration system, various printers and just the normal computer equipment. If I choose a particular item, an office printer, we're going to quote for 10 of them. It knows that the price already set for this customer is £150. Now, just so you're aware, SAP Business One has the concept of pricing groups and it has the concept of discount groups. And you can put different customers into different versions. It's entirely your choice, it's your control. And what we can also do on here, I'll just make this slightly bigger. You can also put multiple lines in, as you would expect. You can say who the sales employee is. You can put in any remarks. And I can say add and view. Now that's a quote for today's date. It's valid for a month because those are the rules we've set up. Notice now here is a button called copy to. So if I hit copy to and copy to a sales order because to say, yep, we're ready to go ahead now. Now it needs a delivery date. What we can do with one of our wonderful Boyum tools is actually make that highlighted so you know when you're using the system, not only is it mandatory, because if I try and actually add and view this without it, it will say red bar at the bottom and go to the right place to do it. But we can make it even easier by highlighting it immediately that you've got to put in today's date, so or a date. So I'm going to put T in for today's date, update the delivery date, and add and view. And this time I'm going to copy to a delivery, and it's got the day's date and everything. We can make things like reference numbers mandatory if you wish to, but notice it's growing this based on sales quotations 1228, based on sales orders 1236. It has all of those links in place. So if I add and view that delivery note, and then I will copy that to, I won't bother with a return today, but the concept of returns is within SAP Business One. It works well. If I copy that to an AR invoice, it's warning me that they're over their credit limit. Now that's dependent on who you are logged on and what rights you have. So because I'm a super user in the system, it will allow me to continue even though they're £22,000 over their credit limit. Other people in the business, you could say, well, they just can't process the order. Or others, you could say, well, you can process the order, but it will not be released until they pay some of their debt. So those are the sort of things we can talk to you about. But when I continue here and I right click on that invoice, I have something down here called relationship map, if I can find it. Where's it gone? I need to add it first, that would help. So that invoice is on. Now I right click and go to relationship map. You can see those 4 transactions I just did are now represented in graphical form on screen. So you can make them bigger and smaller and then get more complicated. So imagine a sales quote might turn into multiple orders that turn into multiple deliveries and multiple invoices. That would then spread out on your screen, but they'd all be linked. And anything with a padlock shows it's closed. Anything unlocked it's still open. So that AR invoice is still outstanding, it has not been paid. And if you double click on any one of these, it goes straight to that document, whether it was open on screen or not. So it's a really powerful way of demonstrating how everything is linked together. So that's the sort of thing you can do there. But we touched about it before, about the Customer 360 in the Pervasive Analytics. If I click on Customer 360, this time for Maxitec, it's going to build a bigger report on what's happening in Maxitec's world. So we've got all their contact details as normal. We can see what the total sales amount. All looks great, all green upwards, all that's doing. So sales information, we can actually see that things are good. The trends are looking up. Order fulfillment, nothing really to worry about too much there. But receivables, they're massively over their credit limit. This is really powerful in helping your sales team become active credit controllers in your business. So if you can give access to the sales team to actually say, brilliant, thanks for all the orders, but you haven't paid your bills, so nothing else is going to happen, and your account's on hold, it will help them get more money back into your business. And we all know cash is king. So that's the sort of thing you can do with a Customer 360. There is a lot we can do though. So with regards to the customers, we can actually set up campaigns. We can run a variety of reports on business partners, so it be activities, whether it's looking at inactive customers. We can do dunning history and dunning reports. So if you want to use dunning for letters for credit control, it's inbuilt in SAP Business One. So lots of things we can do. Financials wise, the chart of accounts is very flexible. In many cases, that a lot of people that take on SAP Business One in particular are moving from smaller systems that are just accounts based. This is where you can start linking everything together. So when a piece of stock moves and it affects the ledgers, it's automatically done. When you sell something, it's automatically updating the ledgers. There is no need for that duplication of effort when you have multiple disparate systems. Many customers we talk to have an account system, you know, like a Xero, like a Sage 50, like QuickBooks or something in that respect. But every time they do something outside of the system, they then have to give the paperwork to someone in accounts who then redoes all the same work again. It's, when you're looking at a grown-up system like SAP Business One, completely irrelevant. So we can help you set up your chart of accounts in the way you want. There is a lot of flexibility we can do. As you can see, we've got the concept of drawers, so looking at assets, liabilities, capital and reserves, turnover, and so on. But you can create new ones. So, and you're not limited to this structure. We would work with you to find a structure that works for your business and helps you not just for the now, but removes cul-de-sacs. So you're not designing a general ledger that provides no ability to grow. That's not what we're about at Ascarii. We're here to help you stop doing that. Everything you'd expect in financials is here. It's ICAEW approved. So things like fixed assets are built in, budgets, cost accounting, all the financial reports you'd expect. If you want to take financial reporting to the next level, there are suitable tools out there, things like Sharperlight, which is a fantastic financial reporting tool, which produces very nice looking charts and graphs and KPIs with live access to your data. Really does make a difference to how you run your reports. And in fact, we do know customers now who don't create a lot of board packs, which take weeks sometimes to produce. They're just looking at live data in the likes of Sharperlight in a boardroom and are making decisions in that boardroom based on that data. Very, very simple. That's what we can do. So CRM we touched on, but you know, activities, campaigns, opportunities, the sales and quotes from the Customer 360 you saw before, and the sort of reports we can do. If you haven't got a CRM engine, this is a perfect first step into it. I won't say it's a Salesforce or a HubSpot, and if you really want to use those, we have integrated SAP Business One with HubSpot and Salesforce previously. So it depends on your requirements. But this more than covers off most things that people want from a CRM. So happy to demonstrate that in more detail should you wish to see it. Opportunities we've touched on already. Sales and purchasing, same thing, but in reverse. Banking, your banking needs are in here. You can put in your incoming payments. You can set payment wizards. You can pay people directly from the system, the whole lot. You can link it to your bank account. Stock control is a real strength of SAP Business One. So when we look at stock control and go into item master data, you notice this screen is actually very similar to the business partner screen. Why is it not coming up? There we are. Good. So if I show you a particular stock record, so here's an office printer. Notice straight away here, this is something we stock, but we also sell it and we buy it in. If you're a manufacturer or a kit, and make kits, you could have some items that you purchase and stock, or you don't purchase, you purchase the individual items, but the finished kit or finished manufactured item is a sales and stock item only. Or it could just be a sales item. You just don't manufacture to stock, you manufacture to order, for example. So what we have across here is things like purchasing data. So you can say who your preferred suppliers are, and you can have multiple suppliers here, but you can set up rules. So most people tend to want to buy from the supplier that gives one, the best service, and two, the best price. But if you need something urgently and they can't fulfill it in the time frame you've got, you then can go into a list of other people who potentially could. So that's what you can do there. Sales data, you can record whatever you want here. Any number of unit of measures or lengths and heights and factors that you want to record. They can be completely different from the purchasing data. So you could buy in kilos and on pallets, and you could sell in eaches or groups of 10 or whatever you want to be. So we just set up the rules and the relationship between the two when we configure the system with you. Now the stock data, this is really interesting because what you'll find here is that this is where it actually shows you the multiple warehouses that you can have, whether they're real or virtual. And when we start talking warehouses, again, with the likes of our partners at Boyum, we have choices around warehouse management systems that take SAP Business One even further into your warehouse. So not only does Business One understand stock locations, bin numbers, does it understand part codes and serial codes and also batch control. It can create barcodes, or at least represent them in the stock records, but it doesn't do scanning. This is where the Progimex solutions from Boyum enhance Business One even further in the warehouse, because it actually allows you to actually bring scanning guns into your warehouse, and you are then controlling what goods come in, how they move around either your factory or your warehouse, and how, importantly, they go out. So you've got complete tracking control, which is then in your one database in SAP Business One. It's the same database. There's no duplication here. And that's the beauty. You're going to get reports when you want one are live. And what that allows you to do as a business is start managing by exception. And that's really important because you can then flag when things go wrong, as opposed to looking for a needle in a haystack. So in here with various warehouses, you've got your valuation methods, of which it's got all the standard ones you'd expect. Planning data, this is where it has the concept down here of things called MRP, materials resource planning. Now, whether you're a manufacturer or not, if you're buying in stock, MRP is really useful because that is just a big calculator. You throw at it the date range, what you're looking to make or sell, and look at forecasts and all those sort of good things that you're doing. And the calculator will spit out, well, we think you need to buy X of this, Y of that. And ultimately, if you're a manufacturer, it will lead to you need to make Z of this. You know, that's the sort of power you can do. So you can actually have MRP or not against any particular product, and you can say whether you buy it in or you make it. And production data is just that. So there's a concept in here called backflush. Now, all that means is that if you are manufacturing a finished item, take a computer mouse, for example, if that's what you are manufacturing, the system knows from the bills of material just exactly what's in that mouse. So if you say you've made 100 mice, it then knows to downdate your stock, backflushing it to a lower level of the components you should have used to make those 100 mice. That's the sort of thing we can do to help save time and increase efficiency within your business. Properties and remarks is exactly the same as before, and attachments. So you'll tend to find a lot of these screens, once you've mastered one, you've mastered them all. So you'll get used to it very quickly. As I say, it understands bin locations, item management. It understands the concept of different price lists. It has a pick and pack manager, which helps in the warehouse again. And there's a wealth of stock reports in here as well. So each of these modules, as they say, and I'm calling them modules, they're not really, they're all part of the system. They all have their own reports. Resources is where you would set up your resources, whether it be a machine or a human, and you can say what your capacities are. And then if you are dealing with production, this is where you deal with bills of materials, your production orders, your receipts from productions, basically everything you'd want to do around production. So you're getting any open items lists and that sort of thing. MRP we touched on, but it also has the concept of a wizard in here. So SAP like wizards, so it's next, click next, fill in the detail, click next, run, and it does it for you. It's very simple to use and something that we would recommend that you do use if you buy in any items at all. Service is a simple service management module. So this is good if you're dealing with people that you offer a service contract to, or you have equipment cards on. And what you find is it's very good as well. And there is a simple service element with a service app as well as a sales app for Android and iOS for your mobile phones. But if you want to go further on, SAP have a full field service management solution, which is very comprehensive and is cloud-based and works on any device. So, we are very well covered on service if that's important to your business. HR, most people we talk to do not have an HR system. They have filing cabinets, or they just save everything on SharePoint or something in that respect on a computer. This allows you to record all of the information against employee master data, enters timesheets if you wish. So if I look at any particular employee, here's a George, he's the warehouse manager, hasn't got a lot of data in here, but you can see your work and home address, any memberships they're part of, administration, so you can actually start recording all the things you want to actually record against them, any personal information, the financial side, what they're paid, how they're paid, what bank, and so on, any remarks and any attachments. So this is a huge step up for people with no HR system. It's certainly not going to replace an HR system if you've got hundreds of employees. I wouldn't be recommending it for that. But if you're fairly typical of being anything between a company with 10 employees to 100, 150 employees, that really works quite well. And it means, as it's part of the solution, you're not paying more for an HR solution. And last but not least, here we've got project management. So if I go into projects and actually show you an example one here, notice here we can either be external or an internal project. So for Maxitech here, we've got the start of a new server installation, the dates, whatever they are. It shows you how complete it is, what financial project it's linked to. But you can also see the stages that you've got against it and the planned costs and the summary of where you currently stand against budget and what your profit values look like. And as before, remarks and attachments. But on here, you can also right click and go to a Gantt chart. So you can start seeing projects in a Gantt chart format, which is very good for planning. So that's a quick whistle-stop tour of the core system of SAP Business One. There are a wealth of reports. They're very easy. So if I'm looking for something to do with stock, it helps if I type it correctly, stock, it straight away goes to anywhere in the system where stock is here. So the system is designed to be easy to use. But importantly, one of the main things that SAP are doing is they are making a web client available, and this is growing. This is where a lot of the information is now going into the system. So you don't have to log in via the normal method onto a cloud platform. You can just go onto a browser and securely log in there. And currently you can run CRM, you can run your sales process, your purchasing, you can look at your customers and suppliers, you can deal with service. I know later this year more functionality is coming out, so projects is coming out around October, I believe. This is really, really powerful because not only that, you can also do, as well as looking at sales orders, and this is the same database as we were looking at before, what we can also do is look at things like analytics. So when I click on analytics here, it builds graphs and charts that could be relevant to me, either as an individual or as a company. So you can start looking at your sales amount by year. So let's write down. So we need to put some more information in our new demonstration database. But you can see your sales and profit by month. It's dropped off a cliff because we've just updated the database. But nice and colourful, understandable, different charts, different ways of representing your data. And this is what is becoming more and more popular. This is the sort of thing that people are now demanding from their ERP system. And we can do this either in the core back office system that I showed you before, or via this type of report as well in your web client. So that's the whistle-stop tour of SAP Business One. This is one of the solutions that we provide here at Ascarii. We are also moving forward with By Design as another solution that we deal with SAP. Both are aimed at SMBs and both fit really well. And depending on the requirements, that's when we make a recommendation on which one we think suits your business best. And that's key. We're not here to sell you software. That's not what Ascarii is about. We are here to listen to you, find out what you're looking to achieve, and then based upon our understanding of your requirements, then make a recommendation of what would probably suit you the best, and then build that relationship with you. Because we're here about delivering projects. We're a professional services company. We're all about successful deployment of projects on time and on budget. When we do that, we have happy customers, and happy customers buy software as a side effect. So we're not going to worry about the software. We just want to find the right solution that suits your needs. When we couple the likes of SAP solutions with the likes of well-known partners that are well established and well supported, like Boyum or BPA from Codeless Platforms, we really can create something quite brilliant for a lot of businesses. And it's highly, highly supportable with nearly 850 partners worldwide, most of them using all of the systems that I've just mentioned as part of their portfolio. You'll tend to find that the only reason you'd stick with Ascarii to provide your ongoing support is because we have a great relationship and we work well together. That's how we want to be judged. So if you have any questions from today, please get in touch. We'll be more than happy to help you, and we look forward to speaking to you again in the future. Thanks very much for attending today. Thanks again. Bye-bye.